This piece is called Conduit. It's an entire motherboard that's been cut up into small circles, and then all of the different linear pieces that you see are soft copper that's been cut and laid out into a circuit board pattern or an abstracted pattern. And I see a lot of my work plays upon the micro and macro of these circuit boards and that run our lives. It's run by electrical impulses. When I'm in the air looking down from an aerial view when I'm flying, I see the same thing over our cities. I see the circuits as our cities, the cities as our circuits. I also see how the wiring in the brain is similar, or even when you look at all these little micro components, it's how our cells are programmed and transmit information. So I'm just trying to find some of that synergy between those different things and the inherent binding agents that bring them all together. These are pieces of an aviation map that have been transferred to copper. View the map regions as all these conduit points, and a mapping system that is very similar in theory to a lot of how the circuits work, which is just a mapping system of data. So I see synergy in it, but I also, because I travel a lot for contract work, I'm in the skies a lot. My father was a pilot. I learned how to read aviation maps from my brother, who's also a pilot. When I'm in the sky, I see the correlation directly between this and a city. There's more of them here. I have countless pieces that I've acquired from people in the tech industry. These are actually ceramic pieces used in high frequency applications. Got a couple more over here. So these are different thicknesses, and you can see all the layers in there as well. Essentially to me, these read as a city or a cell or as what they are. And there's just a lot of correlation between that and the movement through space and directional and mapping. And so it's a way to try and bring that synergy together as I explore the Earth from above. So with these, what I've done is taken these aviation maps and just kind of arranged them in different ways, and then use their lines as actually what dictates the composition. So they have some sort of autonomic way about them. I'm not trying to dictate the journey, so to speak. To me, it's a metaphor for wayfinding, and you're able to just have everything just be loose and flow, and these lines dictate composition. Same with this one here. And these are actually flight maps from different areas as well, so they're not all one area. But to me, it's a nod also to the solar system and to outer space. And then with these are a lot of the aerial photographs that I've taken over the last 2 years that are all parts that I find to be like circuitry. So this one is actually fracking and oil drilling over Midland, Texas. If the plane is heading from Phoenix to Texas, this is actually some of the water irrigation systems that we have. And then this one is actually Palo Verde nuclear plant. And to me, this one I captured, it looks just like a circuit board within itself, so I didn't really do any alterations to that. But a lot of these I'll lay circuit patterns over top just to have that correlation or that double speak. So this piece is playing off of all the different parts. As I've worked with circuits, they each have these kind of directional motifs or almost their own language in a way. And so what I've done is I've taken just those gestural parts of the circuit and broken them up into just these really free form lines. Becomes a complete meditation for me. And I'm able to just completely stack them through the process of layering paint, ultimately creating an entire universe or entire space. Or a lot of times what I'm thinking about when I'm working on pieces like this is dark matter, the things within the larger scope of the universe, quantum physics type stuff that we really don't think about often, but all related to the framework of circuitry and data and space and time. So this piece is called The Resonance of Surveillance Capitalism, and It was really, really inspired by a lot of the travel that I've done, inspired by these aerial views of all the different structures within our landscape. So I used porcelain, cut each piece, and then I hand painted each piece gold. When you look at this from a certain angle, it forms a frequency pattern. When you step all the way back, that's what you get, but when you get up close, you get this city type of scope. But really what I wanted to do is kind of take a look at, the idea of fool's gold, the idea of structures stacking upon themselves, being both beautiful and overpowering, and at the same time, overall just have a common flow to them. This one was just taking these circuit pieces and really, again, just using the traces, and circuits are called traces. That's the technical name for them. So it's allowing the traces to become extended off of the object itself and use that as a map guide to create more of a composition about space and time and connection and hyperconnection. So with all of these little pieces, I've done countless pieces that are these abstracted vertebrae or bones. With these, I went ahead and decided to see what they would look like in a copper form. But I've also created the motherboard pattern within copper or in porcelain with the copper inlay. And then this is porcelain just with a stamped motherboard. So again, just all these kind of different captures of language. This is a piece of porcelain that's inlaid into concrete, almost like a fossil. And so this is a piece of concrete with the copper inlay as well. And then we just have more motherboards that have been cut. I cut all of these on a hole saw, so I get the sheets from people in the tech industry. And then these are printed on copper, and this is printed on copper. This is an example of one of those porcelain circuit boards. And then this is what the porcelain circuit board looks like when it's coated before all the diodes go on. This was, again, just trying to develop the flow and pattern of language that I wanted to use within creating that hyperconnection. I felt like there was all these different approaches, or just that, like with any style, you've got to really kind of work at it and get a feel and get a flow. And so I'm just kind of playing with how the paint lays and how to handle it on paper. This was one of the first sample pieces, or like a study for that larger gold piece that you saw. And then this one became obviously the next extended one for the really large one that we saw. But again, it's just kind of building the process and exploring those hyperconnections and how they connect.